All right. Hey, everybody. This is Mac.
I'm Stan.
And this is MES Tech, the hot mess of tech shows on the internet.
Congratulations. First time doing a full intro. I'm digging it. I'm ready. I'm going to turn Mac into somebody who's good in front of the camera before we both die. It doesn't help how he drinks, but we are going to do the news. So last time we were talking about things like the Intel 9900K and how that's going to be responded to by AMD. And the first one that we want to talk about is Intel has finally officially announced when they're going to be doing their launch event for the 9th generation of CPUs and their core family structure that is going to go with what we're now deeming Coffee Lake S, the revised models that have been getting updates to their motherboards for the Z370 chipset. And we've seen a whole bunch of leaks on the Z390 and we basically know everything that we need to know about these Intel chips except for the one big question. How much it cost? Who got the dollar bills, y'all?
Not me.
Definitely not now, especially after what just happened. I'm super broke at that point in time. But we are going to try and bring you guys the latest and greatest as far as these chips and their information is concerned. And if we have the opportunity, we might even do a little bit of a grudge match Intel versus AMD build, you know, Team Blue, Team Red, and see where things go from there. Overall, there's not really a lot to be expected from this particular event, so there's not really a lot to talk about. However, you're going to want to stay tuned for Monday, because that's when we're going to get a lot of our information, and possibly we're going to be churning out a little bit of a short-term turnaround video to get you guys the information that you need.
We're trying our best here.
Yeah. What's our next topic?
So our next topic, well, we're going on Intel processors, so let's switch over to AMD stuff. Our next topic is going to be AMD and their release for the 7nm stuff. Well,
Yeah.
not release, but like showcase that they're going to be doing, which is happening when?
CES 2019. So January is when AMD is going to be, and that's confirmed that they're going to be talking about 7nm CPUs
and GPUs.
So that is a huge thing to look out for, and that's going to be a keynote from the CEO about these technologies, when they're going to be released, and what goes into that.
Awesome. And hopefully, I'm really excited to see maybe AMD GPUs coming back to the forefront, battling for supremacy, instead of just Intel smushing everybody down.
You mean Nvidia?
Every time.
Yeah, man, you just you associate Intel and Nvidia like they're the two biggest, baddest games in the... They are. I'm so sad. I'm so disappointed. It's okay.
Red Team family, it's just, it can't compete. It really can't.
Yeah, it can. The real big thing about these 7nm is that there are engineering samples that appear to be out in the wild, showcasing turbo boosts up to 4.5 gigahertz, which doesn't really indicate any kind of overclocking, and these are just engineering samples. So the refinements are going to be taking place. They are 8-core, 16 threads. However, we have discussed this previously. The option to go up to a 12-core, 24-thread, 16-core, 32-thread are definitely there. So that's going to be a really big thing to watch out for in January when we finally get this information coming out of CES and any potential leaks that are going to be coming out in the near future.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot more to add to that, other than we're super excited to see what they're actually going to come out with. And now that they're actually bumping up their clock speeds from the factory, where Intel has really shined for the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And
the announcement of the 7nm GPUs, something that can at least compete on the 1070, 1080 level, you know, something that you can creep up into that high dollar price point to give us a little bit of competition. And if they provide us a solution for ray tracing to combat RTX, that's probably another thing that we're going to have to look out for. When we head over to our third topic being, well, what did we decide on? Oh, yeah, all y'all shit's hacked.
The tiny little Chinese chips and servers in the cloud somewhere.
If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, there was an article from Bloomberg that I haven't had the opportunity to read in full. I've skimmed a bunch of parts of it, but what it does is it insinuates that Supermicro, a large manufacturer of motherboards, it insinuates that with the assistance, or at least under the guidance of the Chinese government, they implanted super tiny little chips that allowed unfettered access or unrestricted access to the Chinese government in order to basically obtain any data that was on these server systems or move about that data and acquire what they deemed important or necessary.
Now, there's been lots of contradiction here. People are saying, yes, this is happening. People are saying, no, it isn't.
The big ones that are saying no are companies like Apple and Amazon and others that were insinuated in this article to already know about these kind of hardware leaks.
At the same time, it's likely that, you know, if they were part of this and they knew about it, they wouldn't want to share that with the public yet. But the British, basically NSA, is also saying we have no reasonable proof to believe that these claims are, you know, truthful. However, they did say that if anybody has any volunteered information, they'd love to hear about it.
Oh, I have no doubt that they would love to hear about it. The big thing that this comes down to is that Supermicro saw an over 50% drop in their stock price, and they're going to have a black mark and a cloud hanging over their name for the foreseeable future, just by association with a kind of article like this. And their practices could land them in like ZTE land, where they're not allowed to import any of their products into the United States for fear of national security. And then we've got the other part of the investigation. You know, if we're talking about a corporation colluding with a foreign government to commit espionage inside the United States, holy shit. The penalties for that are limitless when it comes down to this. But that's not necessary. That's here nor there. I mean, a huge publication like Bloomberg putting out this kind of article means that they had to have some sort of facts or information, and if not, fucking shame on them. Really, we need responsible
Banana news.
We need responsible reporting in this day and age.
Did you just tie those two words? Responsible.
Responsible reporting. It was a thing, and now it needs to be a thing again. That's what we're bringing to you: responsible leaks and unsecured and verified information.
And,
no, not with us. We don't need to be responsible because we're on the internet.
Yes.
Okay. Number 4.
Yes.
Windows.
Yes. Windows. They brought us RTX. Hooray! Demos. Yay! And then they deleted all our shit.
Yeah. So with Windows Update 1809, which has now been retracted by Microsoft, so it is no longer available for download or update on your PC, it brought us great things like DXR and the latest updates to DirectX 12, so that way we get better optimization for our brand new RTX graphics cards.
Well, somebody out there, we don't have one yet.
Well, yeah, but that's because we're poor. So beyond that, what it did was it brought us the ability to actually check out GTX or previous generation cards versus current generation RTX Turing cards and how they perform in actual real-time ray tracing environments. Small little demos were popping up on Nvidia and like GitHub and all that kind of stuff. You go through, you compile it, you run the video, and then you can actually monitor different frame rates. And you'll actually see like WCCF Tech has a video on it that kind of goes through this thing, and it validates a little bit of what Nvidia was saying, with the performance increase at certain resolutions being as close to 600% improvement as possible. However, there is kind of a rub to this, because the update that relied on getting that RTX information there also deleted a whole bunch of people's shit. While it was updating the operating system, it moved a bunch of files around, and that resulted in things that went missing, moved. You know, it was
outright missing.
It was basically a game of hide and seek with your files, and a lot of people weren't appreciating that. So Microsoft pulled all that information back. You're no longer able to access that update, which brought us DXR. So we are not able to test this latest little demo benchmark thing for you guys on our older generation hardware to see what kind of performance difference you can really see between what you're currently running and RTX hardware with RTX enabled, which is a relative rarity amongst the populace at this point in time.
It is, and it was really the only way to test this new functionality, because no games have come about with it yet.
Yeah, Battlefield 5 was delayed, and we've already understood that they are gimping the entire RTX system inside Battlefield to make sure the performance is up to snuff. We aren't going to be seeing Metro Exodus, which is going to be RTX enabled until sometime in the far future. It is available for pre-order now, but then also Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which was one of the demos that they showed off at Gamescom, that didn't ship with RTX day one and is something that's going to be updated with a patch, supposedly.
Patches for critical lighting effects. This will be good.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So if you didn't get your hands on 1809, you're not the only person. If you did get your hands on 1809 and it deleted your shit, make sure that you head over to the Microsoft support forums. They want to hear from you if that happens, so that way they can, I don't know if they can recompense, but they want to understand the conditions under which it actually happened. But that's really it for the news that we wanted to talk about. There are some other things like, Threadripper's getting some optimizations, and they just released 2 brand new chips, the 2920X and the 2970X, a 12-core and a 24-core chip respectively, but that is well outside of our price range at this point in time. We're barely going to be able to afford like a 9900K when it comes out, and that's us two pulling our lunch money for like a month.
Yeah, we're not going to eat.
Yeah. Ramen noodles. Hell yeah.
Hell yes. One more thing I did want to talk about
Absolutely.
was the Apple. We like to shit on Apple now that you're not a fanboy anymore.
I don't really like to shit on Apple, and one of the things that we're going to be doing in a future video is hopefully upgrading my iMac so that way it's not nearly as crap as it was right now.
But at the same time, the new Apples that they're releasing, the
iMac Pro and the MacBook Pro.
Yep. They're putting in a little logic processor. Not a logic processor.
It's a T2 chip.
T2 chip. So that you're not able to scan new hardware that's replaced. So any big essential pieces, screen, motherboard, processor, I don't know if those are modular on those.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if they're socketed or if they're
But even down to your
soldered.
keyboard and your trackpad, you can replace it, but as soon as you plug it in, it's not going to read and re-register that new board. So you're not going to be able to replace it at home.
So the only way to get by this is to either bring it to an Apple-certified repair facility to begin with, or if you do replace your own stuff, in order to get it activated again, you got to bring it there anyway.
Yeah, and if articles I've been reading have said that if they don't like what you did, they may even void your warranty or just have you pay for them to replace it again.
So if you are an Apple guy out there, and I was an Apple guy, and I still really enjoy the experience that there is on Apple, making things easy for me, except making my hardware better, which is kind of bullshit. But you do have that new dark skin that you got with Mojave.
Which is absolutely awesome.
All right, so that's really it for the news this week. But if you guys have anything that you want to chat about, hit us up in the comments down below so that way we can start that conversation and see what you guys want to hear more about on the MES Tech channel. While he continues to chug that, I'm Stan, that is Mac, and as always, guys, if you like what you see, hit the like button. If you didn't like what you see, hit the dislike button, and subscribe if you want to get more content from two relatively broke people that enjoy PC hardware.
And beer.
Lots of beer.
Have a great one, guys.
Well, so do you want a little bit more space? Because I can move this way, Touch. Does that feel a little bit better?
Yes.
Excellent.